Hey guys, Alex here from Workshop 12, and today we're going to be doing a full-blown installation on a beautiful, you guessed it, 2008 Nissan 350, and it's a convertible with the navigation version. So a lot of you guys have been asking that have purchased our units, how the heck we do an installation and what are the things that we need to cut to keep everything OEM and make it look beautiful. So today, you and I are gonna go on an adventure and get this all installed. Let's not waste any more time and jump right in. The first thing we're gonna wanna do is essentially remove the trim around the shifter here to basically allow the two bolts that are gonna be here to essentially be able to remove the waterfall. So the first thing you wanna do is you can grab our provided plastic trim tool here and just essentially work around this little trim here. And why is this fly here? At least it's not a bee. I mean, if you guys have been watching the channel for some time, Alex always gets attacked by a bee. This time it seems like it's a fly, so sorry about that. So you essentially just want to removing the trim here. Once you guys remove this trim, you can set it somewhere safe. And now we're gonna remove the bottom trim here, so you can essentially squeeze in here and just start popping this out, similar to what we just did with the other one. All right, there we go. And we're gonna remove this right here for the hazard light. So you're gonna push onto this little pin here on the release mechanism here and just essentially pull it out. Okay, and we'll put that safely here. There are two Phillips screws that we now need to remove. So we're gonna grab our handy dandy screwdriver here and we're gonna remove 1 and 2. And now we'll be able to remove this trim here by gently being able to push this right out. And we most likely are going to need to put the car in neutral. And e-brake is up, so we're not rolling. All right. And we're gonna set this to the side and we're going to put it back in park and remove the thing here. Now we need to remove the little ribbon cable here that is essentially going to secure the climate knobs. So there's a little tab here that we're just gonna push. Okay. And you wanna be gentle with this ribbon cable, guys, here. You don't wanna mess this up. And now we're gonna see two other Phillips screws that we'll need to pull out. All right, guys, so once the two Phillips screws are removed down here, we're gonna expose on this particular model, there's a little plastic piece here that we now need to unscrew another two Phillips. So we're gonna grab our handy dandy packing tool and we're just slowly going to squeeze in here this bit here and just start working it. And then this trim gets removed. Now you're gonna notice there are 1 and 2, and we're just gonna go ahead and remove these. Okay. And then now we're gonna grab this and essentially remove this plug. Push on the little release mechanism. I mean, I don't have any nails, so I will use the provided packing tool. Okay, so to remove that plug, you guys have to really grab something pointy and literally right in the middle, push down on this little tiny lever here. That way you can disconnect those buttons. We're now going to remove the two Phillips screws that are holding the actual CD player up there, and then there's another two down there. So we're gonna first do these, and 2. And then these other 2 down here. 2 other screws actually holding the white climate control box down here. We're just gonna go ahead and remove those. We're gonna wanna be careful, guys, with this little white box. This is the actual climate control module. So we're gonna just gently move that down here. And it would be much easier to put the car back in neutral, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Or in this case, all the way to drive, just to give me a little bit more room to pop this out. And we're gonna disconnect the gauges up here. There's a plug on this side here that we're just gonna grab. And now, all right guys, so now we can start disconnecting everything from the CD player here at the back. So I'm trying to get you guys to see the connections, but this unit doesn't seem to be wanting to turn to the camera. So I'm going to make all the, I'm gonna disconnect everything, and then I'll flip the unit around to show you what are the plugs exactly that I removed, okay? So this was a little bit painful, but we managed to unplug the FM antenna, the two main plugs, and then the other two plugs at the bottom. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this plug was a bit painful, these plugs, because the release mechanism was at the bottom. So I had to kind of grab my little packing tool and stick it in there and slowly, you know, work it, just because we didn't have ridiculous amount of room back there. So now we can kind of forget about this for now until we're ready to transfer the gauges over onto our new unit. But for now, we still have to remove the actual display and then clean up a little bit here, and then we're ready to rock and roll. There is one screw up here and another screw down here that we need to remove. So we're now gonna take the other screw that's up here. Okay, now that we removed the two screws, this should be able to slide right up. And we're gonna just unplug the display here. Okay. We now removed all of the original equipment. We're now just going to kind of organize some of the wiring here. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure we're gonna put this back in park so we can remove these keys. To remove the original gauges, there is one black Phillips screw here and another black Phillips screw there. You just simply remove those two and this slides right out. However, don't forget that once you slide this out, to also gently rip off the little silver trim. That way you can then transfer it on here to make it OEM exactly like it was from factory. So I already went ahead and removed that. So now I'm just gonna turn this around, and then I'm gonna transfer over these little tiny these little silver trims. You'll notice that there's like a little lip at the bottom that's always facing down. So we're gonna go ahead and just put all of these back in here. Okay, now we're gonna grab the gauges. We're gonna put them back in its spot. To give you an idea of what it looks like. So now we're just gonna put back the same little black Phillips screws in the exact same spot as we originally removed it. And now you can see how beautiful it looks. So we'll now set the unit to the side here. And we're gonna grab all of the wires. In the box, you do get two different sets of wires, okay? 90% of the time, it's gonna be the one with the three plugs here, okay? That will essentially work with your vehicle. This blue wire is your BOSE amp turn-on wire. So this is what is gonna be essentially powering your BOSE sub from factory, your BOSE amp. So we're gonna go ahead and just remove this little cable tie. Now for the SIM card, we can definitely put it somewhere, you know, anywhere that's fairly accessible. I know the 350 doesn't have a glove box, so normally I tell people to put it in the glove box. Now, there is a few things that we're gonna have to do. Right now, the main objective before continuing, like finalizing the whole installation, is to plug things in and make sure that everything is working. We're hearing audio, everything is powering on correctly. And then we're gonna essentially pull out the radio again, unplug it, and then essentially we're gonna need to cut the, we're gonna have to make some, this particular model. So 2006 plus models required this little lip here to be flattened so it can be nice and flush with our unit. But there are some variants, and I believe only like I think 2008 models come with this leather knee pad, pleather knee pad. We're gonna have to essentially do a bit of cutting on the plastic, not the actual pleather. Inner plastic here, we're gonna have to cut a little bit, kind of an L shape, to essentially make the unit fit beautifully. Again, not all 350s have to do this little adjustment. Only 2006 plus will need to be trimmed here, and the 2008 so far, or any of them with this pleather knee pad. So for now, we're just gonna do the install fairly raw to make sure that everything is working, because before you start cutting things, you wanna make sure that everything is gonna be compatible. The first thing we're gonna need to do is ground the unit. The 350, all the VQ vehicles, Nissans, Infinitis, all that stuff, they need to be grounded, pretty much. The reason being is because if they're not grounded, the BOSE amp isn't gonna turn on, or not even the unit itself will power on. So you need to ground this unit. Now, where I recommend usually to ground it is, you can see here, this is your original grounding of your vehicle. I recommend doing it on the opposite side and not reuse that existing ground. Some people have grounded it right here in the middle. I mean, this can work as well. It is a solid metal. Whatever works for you guys. In this particular case, to make life easy, I'm gonna actually try this metal bar here to see if that secures the ground properly. So we're gonna go ahead and use an existing gold screw that was here. And we're gonna go ahead and ground the unit. Okay, grounded. So now, I'm not gonna worry about fishing the SIM card and all that stuff and making it look nice at this very moment, as I'm not trying to make this video extremely long for you guys. So I'm gonna just actually quickly tie this up again, and then I'll make sure to try to get to that a little bit later. So we're gonna go ahead and just put this little cable tie back on. The big plug here is gonna fit to the only big plug that can fit here. And then the small plug will be the small plug that can fit here. Okay, so that's all good. So technically we're now done with the actual install here, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually plug everything in and make sure that everything is working correctly. Now we're gonna go ahead and just connect the RCAs. We're gonna connect them right onto the unit here, to the biggest slot. And then the last other one will be right in here. Okay. So this is where we do the connection. So RCAs is gonna be up here, and then the main power is gonna be here. So first we're gonna just do a quick test, make sure what's working, what's not. So right now we're just gonna test to make sure that the audio is working. So audio is definitely working. Okay. Now that we verified that audio and the unit is turning on and everything is good, we know that all of our connections are made successfully. Now we need to essentially trim the knee pads here. We need to make a little L-shaped cut here on each side, so then this can be put back in its place without interfering. And then of course, we need to do a slight cut on the climate piece to make it all nice and flush. So before we do any of that, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly pop out the unit. To remove the knee pad, at least for the driver's side, there's one Phillips screw at the very bottom here that we need to undo. So after popping off all of the clips here, it will just simply come right off. Okay. there is a screw that we're gonna have to take out. The passenger side, it seems to be a little bit on the more annoying side. So, okay. Clearly I'm dying here. And this knee pad on the passenger side, for the lack of better words, was literally one of the biggest pains. I'm sorry I didn't catch it on video. I don't think you wanted me to even see what I was doing. However, right here, you're gonna pop this little door down where your cigarette lighter is, and there's a 10mm socket that's right here that you'll need to remove. You're then gonna pop out this panel here. This panel, so first gently pop out this trim here, and then there's gonna be another trim that is essentially only secured with clips, and then there's one screw, one Phillips screw that you'll have to take out that is gonna essentially remove the side here. And then once you take out this screw, you'll, and this 10mm screw here, you can now bring this enough down to essentially remove that screw. I don't know if that even makes sense, guys. I'm literally about to pass out. I need to go get some water. But you know, there's not a lot of sunny days out here in Toronto, so we're trying to enjoy as much as we can and get my bald head nice and tan. That being said, guys, we're about, I think, halfway done. What's next is I'm just gonna clip all this back on, because you best believe that that screw on that kneecap is definitely not ever coming back on. So that's totally fine. I mean, there's plenty of clips, and it also gets nicely secured with all the rest of the plastic, so we're definitely not going to need that. Now what we will do is, after I go drink some water, is we're going to essentially cut like an L shape. I think I might just follow this line here and then this line here, just to, you know, it's important not to cut the leather, but we need to cut the plastic behind the leather. So we're gonna figure it out, and you guys are gonna come along with me. But for now, let's go ahead and just put this back. Okay, and then now, we are good to go. When it comes to the cutting of the leather knee pads, okay, these knee pads, there are only gonna be 3 tools that you need. No saws, no powered tools, nothing. Simply a flathead, wire cutters, X-Acto knife, and of course, eye protection. Don't forget the eye protection. What you're gonna do is simple. You're gonna grab the flathead, you're gonna stick it between the leather and the plastic, pry open just a tad bit, enough to essentially get the little plastic weld on this corner to be out. Then you're gonna grab the wire cutters and start sticking it in there and cutting bit by bit by bit. Once you've done the best you can to cut with the wire strippers, you're then gonna grab the X-Acto knife, put your eyeglasses on, and make a sharp little line, and a sharp little line of essentially like Pac-Man with his mouth open, okay? And then you're going to be able to pry it right off, okay? That's the knee pads. For this, same thing, don't use a saw. I would recommend using wire strippers. You cut, then cut the top to essentially get rid of that plastic, and then cut the bottom, cut the top, cut the bottom, cut the top, and then maybe a little bit of sandpaper depending on how flush we managed to do it the first time. First thing we're gonna wanna do is make sure that we are holding it the right way. So I know that our unit, this pad here needs to be exposed, and our unit needs to be on here. I'm gonna grab wire cutters and essentially try to stick it in here to see if that can help break the plastic here just a tad bit. Okay, and I'm gonna do this side now too. I'm gonna grab a flathead. Okay, I stuck a flathead in here to essentially try to separate the plastic, just to be able to kind of get in here a little bit more. As my biggest thing is I don't want to cut the leather, because if once you cut this, you're gonna mess up the whole look. So I just popped off a little bit of the plastic weld on there. And now we're gonna use the flathead to quickly pry open okay. I'm gonna leave this in here so it can be separated a bit. And then now I'm just going to start working by trying to squeeze in here and break the plastic here. I definitely like to use the X-Acto knife, guys. Just essentially watch your fingers and just cut, try to cut the layout that you are trying to accomplish here. So in this case, you can see it's kind of like Pac-Man layout. So that's what I'm trying to do now. So as you can see, it looks like we cut pretty darn even. So I think that might be pretty good. So I'm gonna stop cutting the knee pads here because I think we're done with these. So we're now going to do the cutting of the climate piece here, these little lips. The way that the unit sits, right? It needs to sit pretty flush. So I'm gonna try not to like cut it completely flat. I'm gonna cut a little bit and then we'll go from there. You're gonna just cut a little bit like this, boom, and then you can cut the top, boom, and then just keep going at it. I feel like this is gonna make life easy for everyone. Boom. And now you can see it's done. So I might need to sand this down just a little bit just to make sure that it is gonna stay perfect. I'm gonna grab a little filer and I'm going to essentially just file this to make it perfectly flat. Now, you gotta remember to always try to cut less, test, and then cut some more if need be. I'm also ending up cutting these little tabs up here to give it a more flush look, because I want to really close that gap and make it look absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and just cut this little piece here, okay? Now let's get it back into the car. Let's install everything and see how smooth everything fits. So now we're gonna go ahead and just quickly mount the GPS antenna. I'm gonna mount the GPS antenna right on the plastic here on the back, just like that. Boom, GPS. And then LTE antenna will be mounted right on here. Okay. And now we're gonna make all the other connections. So we have the 2 USB ports. So there's an empty space, then the 2 USB ports, then the RCA for a backup camera, then all the RCAs. Make sure that all of these are pushed in correctly, guys, because if not, you're gonna have a little bit of a hard time trying to get everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and start making all the connections. Now, in terms of the USBs, honestly, guys, I think I'm just gonna run the USBs here in between the carpet, as well as for the SIM card by the knee pads here. So in case anybody needs USB ports and if they decide to get a SIM card, they'll be able to use it. We're gonna go ahead and do the ground wire. I'm just connecting the LTE antenna and the GPS antenna right now. I just finished connecting everything out. That way we'll retest everything and ensure everything is running as smooth as it can possibly be. And you can see now with the knee pads here, it fits absolutely perfect. Okay. We're gonna put the 2 screws back, one on each side, remount, reinstall this trim here, push in the kneecaps nicely, add the trim around, bing bada boom, we're done. Right now, I'm going to turn off the camera because I got a notification that it is overheating. So what I'm going to do, I'm not the only one overheating here. I'll be right back with the finished product. As you can see, the sides here is fitting nice. You have the leather knee pad here fitting perfectly. You have the centerpiece here with the little lip on the sides gone. Now, the one thing is to note on this particular model, there is a piece here that's sticking out. So if you look right here is the climate piece here. It looks like the nav version of the plastics were a little bit wider here. You have everything fitted nicely. Everything is good. So now the only thing that's left is finishing off this by connecting the little button here for the hazard. Yep, that's working. And now that's done. And now this is done. There you guys have it, the beautiful Workshop 12 Tesla style display for your Nissan 350. As you can see, we have our steering wheel controls wired. You got the beautiful BOSE subwoofer blasting right behind my seat here. Everything is working absolutely stunning. If you want to have a backup camera, you'll be able to add one easily. Any RCA reverse camera will work. We programmed the steering wheel controls. If you purchase our product, you received a little QR code that has a video of myself showing you how to wire those steering wheel controls and programming it. And there you guys have it. If you guys have questions, concerns, or even smart remarks, feel free to drop some comments below or send us an email. And when you do buy your product, make sure to schedule a video call with yours truly. We go on video calls with all of our customers to walk them through and ensure that they enjoy our products and understand our products. This is what makes us who we are. And if you like what we do, subscribe. A lot more coming up. Peace.